Hello and welcome to Oddspedia Premier League Match Day 33. This is the most important match day perhaps in the Premier League because we have Man City, Arsenal, because it looks like Arsenal are shaking, are bottling this Premier League, the Champions League. They are in the semi-finals. So Tom, crucial game this Sunday.
Yeah, decisive game. I think if Man City win it, I think it'll be their title. Any other result, I think Arsenal will stumble over the line, and all results are possible.
Everything is possible. +6 now, but one game in hand for Man City and this direct clash. So let's analyze all the games, especially the last game. We have this match day 33. Remember, guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this game. And now let's go on with the show. And we start on Saturday, Brentford, Fulham. Brentford is still playing for European spots. They are only 1 point away from Chelsea, even if they are not winning in the last weeks. They drew with Everton, as expected. 4 consecutive draws. Fulham lost to Liverpool. Tom, if we are not backing once again the draw, I guess this should be Brentford to win, which is not bad, by the way, 2.14.
Yeah, I mean, look, first and foremost, it screams draw. With the form that Brentford have been on, 5 draws in a row, several 2-2s in that run as well. They've been 0-0 or 2-2 across the last 5. It's been wild for Brentford recently. And they're doing that thing that teams do when they're unexpectedly in contention for something come the end of the season. They're bottling it. And they are scared, it would seem, to get over the line. They're not taking the risk they were in the earlier parts of the season. Maybe they're in a fourth position. I think they are. I think they're more of the 12th best team in the league as opposed to someone that should be challenging for Europe. And we're sort of seeing that. There's mistakes from people like Nathan Collins who don't make many mistakes. There's a lack of impetus in games from people like Dango Ouattara. Beyond the goals of 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺, there's no one that's been consistently good across the entirety of the season. And that's what's keeping them in this mix, as he did last week with their performance against Everton. And up against a Fulham side this weekend who are doing what they've done for the majority of their time back in the Premier League, bar the first safety season. They're sort of a quintessential mid-table Premier League club. They are able to pull off a big result. They have people like Harry Wilson or Raul Jimenez who have had great moments this season, but there's no one in this team, beyond the 2 that I've mentioned really, who have been able to put 3 really good performances together. 𝐿𝐵𝐵 I put in that mix as well, actually. But beyond that, they're good one week, they're bad one week. I thought the Liverpool performance last week, that I looked at it as maybe an outside chance for Fulham, considering where it was for Liverpool in their PSG matches, but they were absolutely hideous, deserved to get beaten for 2, and it could have been worse. So in terms of this game, obviously first and foremost, it's a Brentford game, so look for the draw. Draw comes in at 3.6, so look for that as your first bet. 0-0 and 1-1 together as a collective comes in at 4.33, which I quite like. If you do go for a winner here, you have to make it Brentford because Fulham are just petering out as per usual. So a Brentford win, 2.06. A Brentford win as a group is 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4.33. That's quite nice. They're quite good defensively, usually Brentford across the season. And as ever, 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺 chasing down the golden boot anytime at 2.1.
Who knows how much money they are going to ask for 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺 this summer. Next one, Leeds Wolves, massive game. This one for Leeds because the win at Old Trafford make them almost safe. +6 with Tottenham. No one expected that win. I think was more than 40 years without winning at Old Trafford in the Premier League. So, Tom, if they beat Wolves, as West Ham did last week, is almost there for them. And it's a massive success staying in the Premier League.
Yeah, look, I think it's over if they win one more game because I don't think Tottenham are going to get 39 points. That is what we're looking at now. Like I can see a pathway that West Ham might get 39. I can see a pathway that Forest will get 39. I don't see it with Tottenham from what is left. And so 39, I think, will get Leeds there. Look, last week they were phenomenal against Man United, and what helped them was they'd played in the FA Cup previously in a real sharpener against West Ham, whereas Man United looked nowhere near the side that we saw before the international break, and they took advantage, and it didn't flatter them, the victory at Old Trafford. They should have won more comfortably, and if it wasn't for some missed chances in the first half, to be fair, some great defending in the second, they would have won it more comfortably. So lots of players impressing this season, lots of energy about this team, but I will say as well, they do sort of fall into themselves in games when they're winning them, and they somehow allowed Man United back into that game when they should have won quite comfortably. West Ham in the FA Cup, they're 2-0 up in the 90th minute and find a way to go to extra time, then pens. There is just something about Leeds where they don't have the conviction to go out and win games. This is the time to go and prove that wrong, because Wolves are pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. There was a couple of decent performances against Liverpool and Villa, but the performance against West Ham, I thought, following Mavropanos' opening goal, look, West Ham were good, don't want to take credit away from them, but I thought the crumble was... keep saying crumble today. Sorry, Arsenal fans, but I do think that they don't have a good enough Premier League squad. They played very poorly, and we saw again Andre and Gomez and all these guys in midfield. They haven't got the legs. They haven't got the quality. This is not the league for them. They might go kill it at Real Betis or 𝐬𝐿 or something like that. But in this particular league, at this particular time, little legs midfielders is not going to do it for you. So I think you have to take the Leeds win. The odds aren't amazing, but what am I going to do? But I'm Wolverhampton Wanderers, so Leeds win at 1.6. As with most Leeds games, I think it'll be quite tight. Leeds win by exactly 1 goal, 3.5. Take the grouper, because I'm going to do a lot of that this week. I'm hedging some bets this week. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 together, doubles your money. But I do think Leeds get the job done and get Premier League safety this weekend.
Next one is Newcastle Bournemouth. Probably both managers won't be in these clubs next week, next season. It was official by Iraola. He announced he will be leaving Bournemouth. It was a massive, it has been a massive season for Iraola and for Bournemouth after selling basically all the important players, and the cherry on top of the cake was the win against Arsenal after 5 consecutive draws. Here also we have very good odds to bet Bournemouth somehow. Newcastle favorites, Tom, but well, we didn't see 𝗀𝗻𝗄𝐻 starting. It looks like they are having a torrid time at the moment. Lost to Palace when we didn't expect it. The derby is not a good time to back Newcastle.
Yeah, you're seeing a Newcastle side here with nothing to play for, and you're seeing a lot of players that are gassed from the Champions League run as well. The new signings, none of them have worked, really. I would have argued for 𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗀 earlier in the season, but his second half of the season's been awful. And so you basically got last season's team with Osula up front, and they look like they need massive reinvention, Newcastle. Of course, the 𝗍𝐸 loss in the summer made a massive difference, but 𝗀𝗻𝗄𝗀's faded massively. I don't see him in the Premier League next season. 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 has been irrelevant. Don't see him at Newcastle next season. And on I could go. Maybe Elanga is a qualified okay from the summer transfers. So, look, winding down for the season across the home campaign as well. Newcastle have not been their particularly great selves. 6 defeats at home this season. Shocking for Newcastle United, really. That's where the season has been sort of won and lost. The away form was poor, but usually the home form is good, and it hasn't been across the campaign. The loss of Bruno Guimaraes has been catastrophic across these recent weeks, and Tonali's wanted to get away for a long, long time, and it sort of looks like it. Joe Linton's a faded force this season. All these problems. So I do think they'll win a couple of games between now and the end of the season, but I do think it'll be handshakes all round for Eddie Howe come the end, and a rejuvenation, if, of course, the Saudi owners are that interested in rebuilding Newcastle. We'll find out together, but going to be tough this one against a Bournemouth side who, you mentioned it, Andoni Iraola's leaving the club. We're expecting him to go to Athletic Club, but also, I would suggest that he's one of the best coaches currently working in European football today, and the Athletic Club back to Bilbao job is always going to be open for him at any point during his career as a club legend. So I think Man City, I think Chelsea, I think Liverpool, I think Real Madrid, I think everyone should be talking at least to Andoni Iraola and considering the prospect that he could be their manager. Maybe he won't fit at all those clubs, but at the very least, I'd love to chat to him if I was Real Madrid, for example. So we'll see how that goes across the summer. I think it probably will be Athletic Club, but his current team, what a performance last week. My only irritation about last week's show, no, 2 irritations. Number 1 was trusting Man United. Don't do that. And number 2 was not going for the Bournemouth win. I went Bournemouth draw, and I should have gone for the win. Obviously, they went and did it, but I really fancied them last week. They're a team in terrific form, really, really hard to beat. and I think they have every chance of getting something here. So as ever, with a Bournemouth game, 15 draws this season, look at the draw at 3.75. Draw on both teams score a really healthy 4.5. Look at recent Bournemouth results, 1-1, 2-2. It's close last week as well. 1-1 on its own is 8. I'd avoid Newcastle here and look at Bournemouth or the draw.
Well, I would be kind of surprised, actually, if Iraola takes the job of Man City or Real Madrid, for instance, but for sure, he is done great with Bournemouth. Next one, and a key one for the relegation battle, Tottenham. Brighton, they are starting this weekend in relegation spot for the very first time, and it looks really, really bad. We didn't see any improvement with 𝗀𝗏𝗿𝗀. It's true that it was his first game in charge, but it's also true that they were training like for 10 days with the new manager. Now it's 7 defeats and only 1 draw in the last 8 Premier League games. The last win game in La Liga was, or in the Premier League, was the 28th of December against Crystal Palace. And now they host Brighton, coming in good form. Tom, this is massive, massive, massive for Tottenham.
Yeah, and going to our earlier Leeds conversation, there's no pathway to 39 points without a victory here for Tottenham against Brighton from what is left. They simply have to win this game. And look, every chance of winning this game. I take your point on a little improvement against Sunderland, but I do think it was better than 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺, which is, you know, a very, very small incremental improvement in that they played a recognisable formation. There was some battling in the team. First goal would have made a massive difference if it had gone Tottenham's way, if that penalty was not overturned. But it was notable when the goal went in. The heads dropped massively from Tottenham and they stopped creating chances and felt beaten from the moment Sunderland scored the opening goal. So opening goal in this game going to be absolutely crucial. Tough to say anyone's in decent form for Spurs. Quite literally nobody. Now they lost Romero, no Vicario, the long injury list, which we've listed every single week, which is so significant if Tottenham do end up 18th in the table come the end of it. But someone's got to step up. Is it going to be Dominic Solanke? Is it going to be Richarlison, who's got experience of being in a relegation battle? Someone's got to step up, and then defensively, they've got to find a way to be solid. Trouble is, they're up against the Brighton side, who are in really, really good form at the moment and are chasing down a European finish. You can kind of take the Burnley game out of it. Good win, though it was. Burnley are dreadful. The Liverpool win was impressive. The Sunderland win didn't play amazingly well, but got the job done. There's not a particularly long raft of injuries right now for Brighton. Danny Welbeck's in really good form. Minte and 𝗵𝗵𝗏 and Ayari and all these guys that have underwhelmed across the season have had a late run of form in the last 2 or 3 weeks, which they were needed to do. Plus, people like Pascal Gross have come in and added that experienced hand to a team that maybe needed someone just to see them through to the end of this campaign. So Spurs winless in all 23 games they've gone behind in this season. First goal going to be absolutely crucial. Brighton have won 5 of their last 6 matches. I think you have to bet on Brighton. You have to bet on Brighton to win here. And I think Brighton will be able to get something from this game. So Brighton win on its own at 2.3 is nice. Don't discount the draw at 3.6. If Brighton win it, I do think they'll win it. Scoring the first goal, scoring a second goal, maybe a late Spurs consolation, similar to what we've seen in recent weeks for Spurs. So Brighton, both teams to score is 4. And look at Danny Welbeck, former Arsenal man, 12 goals in the Premier League this season, spectacular campaign, trying to get in the World Cup squad. Any time for him at 2.63. Couple of goals for him and he'll be going to the USA in the England squad. So back him as well. But yeah, I think Brighton will get something, which will be bad for Tottenham.
Massive nervy game for Tottenham at home. They are the worst team in the Premier League, only 10 points, only 2 wins. And the last game we have on Saturday is Chelsea. Man United, also Chelsea dreadful when they are playing at home. They are 12 in the home standings, and this game is really important for the Champions League fight. Now Chelsea are 4 points away from Liverpool. They are in really, really bad form. And so should be back after the suspension by the club or by the manager. 3 consecutive defeats against City, as you predicted. They lost. And Man United was the first defeat at home with Carrick on the bench. It was a massive surprise, but still, they are on the way to get the Champions League spot. I guess even the draw for Man United, Tom, would be very, very positive.
Yeah, I think if they keep Chelsea behind them, they'll be in the Champions League next season. So whether that affects the way they play will be interesting to find out. Look, Chelsea, the Enzo Fernandez thing was so stupid. It's just so stupid because he is going to go in the summer, or at the very least he'll push for a move in the summer, or they're going to have to pay him monumental money. And they've suspended him for less than what 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 did in that international break in terms of flirting with a departure. So don't really understand it. I think it suggests a lot about the unpopularity of Enzo in the squad. Without him, it's not really worked at all this season. Him, 𝐼𝐭𝐵 and Reece James, when they're on the field together, have looked very, very good for Chelsea, but there's no James at the moment. Fernandez has been suspended, and 𝐼𝐭𝐵 has been throwing the tackles around, but doesn't seem to have a role in the team, which I think is a problem. Cole Palmer's not coming up to the plate. Pedro Neto's having a massive dip in form. If João Pedro don't do it, Liam Delap is a relegation battler player as opposed to a top-end player. And of course, defensively, still howler after howler after howler from Sanchez, from whomever they put at central defence. It's a huge issue that needs to be addressed for whoever the manager is in the summer. I don't think it's going to be 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 come the start of next season. We'll find out together. I don't think even Michael Carrick as well at Man United, for what it's worth. I think that he's come in and done a really good caretaker job. He has got them into Champions League contention. But we saw last week, and we saw in the Bournemouth game before it, he's an inexperienced manager, and he's not at this point a top-level manager. And are Man United going to let him do an Arteta and have 2 or 3 seasons of building up his experience and hope there's some sort of payoff Arteta style? I don't know. I don't think so. It's not the Man United we've seen in recent years, so I'd be surprised if that was the case. Going forward, I think not playing 𝗵𝗵𝗀 from the start is weird, and I don't know why they've started doing that. Benjamin 𝗵𝗫𝐿 has looked better from the bench, so getting back on the bench. And losing Harry Maguire and now Lisandro Martinez to suspension. The drop-off from the first team to second team is huge. Lenny Yoro, he hasn't got it. Aiden Heaven, decent player, not for Man United at this time, and that cost them against Leeds. They look dreadful, and I think that my only concern here is that maybe Man United look as bad as they did against Leeds in this matchup. So, tough. I think both teams are quite bad. I think I'd probably pick for Man United at double your money at 3.1, because I think Chelsea are really poor and haven't performed well under pressure all season, and have not played particularly well at home this campaign as well. 5 defeats for Chelsea at home is really, really poor. Also on that run of back-to-back 3+ goal defeats for the first time since 2018 as well. So double your money for a Man United win. See plenty of goals in this game with deficient defences. Pick a winner and go for the over. Man U and over is 4. Over 3.5 goals on its own is 2.38. Then plump for a winner. I'd say Man U.
I think seeing Man United third in the Premier League give us the level this season of the Premier League. It was shown also when the clubs went to Europe, even in the quarterfinals. Not now only with Arsenal, but the level this season has been very low, and we can see it in Chelsea or Man United, for instance. Sunday, Aston Villa, Sunderland. Aston Villa, though, or these two teams actually should be very happy about their campaigns. Aston Villa, they are almost grasping the Champions League spots, +7 with Chelsea, despite the draw against Nottm Forest. It was a good point, I guess. Remember, they are playing Europa League on Thursday, very close to the semi-finals. And Sunderland, they beat Tottenham, still with some options to play in Europe, but overall, of course, it's been a great season for Sunderland.
Yeah, fantastic season, and I think they've been planning for next season for quite some time now, and there are some additions that are going to be required, but all of a sudden they look quite attractive, and I think a few deals would have already been all but signed, and we'll find them out soon. Look, for Villa, the return of John McGinn has been crucial for them. I think ever since he came back against West Ham, I think that they've looked a lot better. Aston Villa, after a bit of a wobble, I think that the loss of Kamara has been significant, but Tielemans coming back and McGinn coming back, and one or two others, Pau Torres. I think that it's given a confidence to people like Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins that's been missing, and they should have won last week against Forest. That late Rogers chance should have gone in, and that might have been that. You mentioned the 7-point gap. I think if Man U win at the weekend and Villa win at the weekend, the Champions League, at least top 4, will be done, and it'll be a battle for 5th with the rest of the pack, because I don't think Chelsea will overturn that 10-point differential that there will be. And across the season, they've been really good, Villa. There's been some bumps and some bad moments, but 10 home victories. Watkins back to scoring goals again. He's up to 9 now in the league. I think he will get to double figures, which is impressive considering he began the season so slowly. They have got Tammy Abraham to replace him as well at vital times. So look, really good team at home. I don't know as yet, as you say, how much exertion there was in the the Europa League in midweek. But I think, all being well, I'd expect Villa to win this one. And in terms of Sunderland, at home this season, they've been a real force, as they showed against Tottenham last weekend. The win at Newcastle away from home was emotional the week before, so back-to-back victories for them. But across the campaign, away from home has been an Achilles heel for them. They haven't quite given up on the season. I think that would be unfair, but I do think we're at a stage now where, are they going to push for Europe? It would take 4 wins from 6. If they get that, I think they would be in European contention next season. But how much desire is there? We see it quite a lot. When a team's mission was to get to 40 points in safety, when it's secured going down the final 5, are you going to be able to squeeze that bit more juice out of the players? Maybe. Look, maybe. They've won 2 in a row. But for me, more on the line for Villa. Sunderland not particularly good away. Villa been pretty impressive at home. You've got to go for the Villa win here, even though it's not a particularly impressive 1.67. Group it up nice at 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. That doubles your money at 3.25. Personally, screams 1-0 Aston Villa. Exactly 1 goal is 3.5. I think a tight Villa victory, and I fancy them to secure their Champions League place this weekend.
Super Sunday in the Premier League. First, Aston Villa, Sunderland. At the same time, we have Merseyside Derby, Everton, Liverpool. The season is over for Liverpool. No titles. At least they pushed PSG in the Champions League. And now the only goal for 𝐿𝐵𝗀 Slot is qualifying the team for the Champions League. They are now 5th in the standings, +4 with Chelsea. As we all know, 𝐿𝐵𝗀𝗀𝗀, if we want to pile up the bad news for Liverpool, 𝐿𝐵𝗀𝗀𝗀 missing the season, missing the World Cup, and somehow I kind of like the odds for Everton. They still have good options to go to Europe next season. It's 3 wins in the last 6 games, and it's a team really in form at the moment.
Yeah, nasty game for Liverpool, this one, in their hopes of qualifying for next year's Champions League, because Everton, it's incredible what they've done. We've done this for a few weeks now. They've had so many injury issues, and there's not a particularly big squad there, and there's no particularly outstanding individual talents, but there's a very good team there. And 𝗀𝗵cie showed last week with that late leveller in the rain at Brentford. There's no giving up in this team. They really fancy European competition next campaign. They've got people like Jordan Pickford, who makes outstanding saves every single week, massively overperforming what we expect from this Everton side, because when the chances come, when the big moments come, they have been able to take them in a way that other teams around them haven't. And it's worth noting too that when teams move to a new stadium, they often struggle. And look, there's been some bumps on the road for Everton this season, but I wouldn't say the season's been a struggle. I'd say it's been pretty good, all told, at Hill Dickinson this season. It's the first Merseyside derby at the new stadium. Atmosphere is going to be terrific. We're expecting a sunny day on Merseyside for the first ever Dixie derby. So I think it's a horrible game for Liverpool, and every chance at double your money that Everton are going to win this game. And 𝗀𝗀 in good form, 𝗀𝗵cie in good form, Beto scoring goals all of a sudden. Lost a like about Everton right now, and lost a dislike about Liverpool. I don't think they pushed PSG at all, frankly, in the game at Anfield. I think they were making up the numbers, and you're too nice, mate. You're a nice person. They had to go out and they had to batter them, and they sort of gave them a little bit of a tickle. And beyond that one Marquinhos block, which was fantastic, what was there? What they really create? I think PSG sort of strolled past them in second gear, and that's not what Liverpool is supposed to be. But the reason for that, as we discussed in our Champions League show, is that 𝐿𝐵𝗀𝗀 Slot pooped his pants in the away leg and decided to play like he was Bolton Wanderers going to Man United. Like, it was absolutely bizarre the way they set up in the first game in Paris. So much rejuvenation needed at Liverpool. Look, they are able and capable of pulling off a big win, but with no 𝐿𝐵𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, with an unfit Isak, with an uninterested Mo Salah, where are the goals going to come from? With a slowing Virgil van Dijk, with an out-of-form Konaté and 𝗀𝐿𝐴, with Mamardashvili in goal and not Alisson. I can't back Liverpool at these odds here. If you're going to bet on this game, you have to go for Everton to win the first Dixie derby at double your money. I wouldn't be surprised as a Merseyside derby to see plenty of goals. Draw on both teams to score comes in at 4.5. I would not be stunned to see this one finishing 2-2. Liverpool losing 3 of their last 5 Premier League away matches again favours Everton. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 to the Toffees. An incredibly healthy 6.5. And the reason I'd look at that this week is that who is going to score for Liverpool? Salah, in this current form? Isak, he can't really move. Can't see it. I think Everton win and win 2-0.
Wow, all right. Yeah, I am very nice with Liverpool. I like them as a club, but of course, many things should change.
We wish everybody well here.
at Anfield and sunny in Liverpool. Oh my God, I was feeling cold even watching the highlights between Liverpool and PSG and this rain and wind. All right, let's go to Nottingham Forest, Burnley, massive week for Forest because they are trying to get into the semi-finals of the Europa League against Porto, and also this is a must win for them after 3 draws and 1 win in the last Premier League games. Now they are +3 only with Tottenham facing Burnley at home. This is a must win if they want to stay in the Premier League.
Have to win, and they're going to win, frankly, against this dreadful Burnley side that are just embarrassing themselves every week now in the Premier League, and I look forward to them not being up for a year. Look, I think it'll be West Ham or another, and I've said that for a long, long time. I thought it would be Leeds. I'm still shocked by what's happening at Tottenham. It'll be West Ham or Tottenham that go down in 18th this season. I have a lot of faith in Nottingham Forest because when it is required, they pick up the result. They've got a draw against City, draw against Villa, the win over Tottenham when they need to. They are able to pick up victory. And I think this will be another one of those games for Nottingham Forest. I think that they've got really good players. They've got a really good vibe about them. I expect them to have got through in the Europa League by the time this game comes around. And Burnley are just so weak. They're just so weak from 𝗛𝗵𝗀𝗀 in goal, which was always ridiculous, 37 years of age, from defenders like 𝐜𝐿 who are championship players. James Ward-Prowse and Florentino midfield, again, they can't run. I don't know why you're doing that. Beyond Zian Fleming, there's no one in this team that I think should get a Premier League move next season. And their relegation, I think, will be confirmed next week as opposed to this week. I've not done the maths yet, but I think it would be. They've won 1 of 24. In the Premier League, Burnley. I mean, they just simply aren't good enough, and it's a perfect game for Forest this weekend. So, look, let's not waste too much time on this. Forest win. Odds not great at 1.44. Frankly, I think Forest give them a bit of a spanking. Even the group bet is not great for 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 2.88. I would look at 3-0 on its own. That's a really good bet here. I think it's around 7, around 8. And then look at people like 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜, Morgan Gibbs-White, Callum Hudson-Odoi. They're going to batter Burnley this weekend. And if Tottenham have lost and Forest have won, I think that might be that. I think 6 points will be too much across the final 5 for Tottenham to claw back in. That brings it back down to 2, in my opinion. Easy win for Forest here.
Let's use our time for Man City Arsenal. Of course, the game of the games, the game that could decide the Premier League, especially if Arsenal win at the Etihad, although now looks almost impossible. Look at these odds. It's 4.3 for Arsenal to win, only 1.9 for Man City. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, Man City beat them, I would say even easily, in the League Cup final, and we are seeing this Arsenal. I can smell fear. We saw it even in the Champions League against Sporting. It was a really bad quarterfinals, a nervy draw to qualify for the semi-finals, but they have in their hands been a really successful season in the Champions League, in the Premier League, Tom. But looks like everyone is smelling the fear of all these years, but bottling the Premier League. And now they arrive to the Etihad with Man City full of confidence with this League Cup final just 10 days ago. So it's, I would say, almost not. It's not easy to overlook the odds for Man City to win, in my opinion, at 1.9. You think Arsenal are going to park the bus?
Oh, yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. They don't do anything else. I mean, this is the trouble. They don't have a second gear. We've been doing this for some weeks now. They need to find a way to find a second gear to show that Nottm Forest and 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 and 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 and all these guys are good footballers. And Mikel Arteta's got them playing like Wimbledon in 1992. It's costing them, and it's cost them every single year, and it's costing them again now. And look, if they play like that in this game, which they will, and they get a draw, I think they'll go on to be Premier League champions. So this is the high-wire Mourinho-like act that Mikel Arteta has got this team doing. From the fixtures that are left, I think they'll win the rest. So this is it for Arsenal. Get a result here. Don't get beat, and they will be champions. Now, some teams will take that as a challenge to go out and win. Others will take it as a challenge to go out and not get beat. Arsenal will be the latter. They will be nasty. They will slow this game down. They will complain about everything. They'll take long throws. They'll play for corners. They'll be whingy and moany and horrid to watch. and they will fight for every loose ball. I think there's been an argument to say that some of the guys have not been up for it recently. Maybe they've been overplayed. 𝗲𝗵𝗍 is a conversation lots of people are having right now. Maybe they're overtired, whatever. That's out of the window for this game. Everyone is going to be wildly up for this one. And if they can survive the City onslaughts that come, and there'll be a couple in this match, I think every chance they get a draw, which will see them go on to be Premier League champions, in my opinion. If they win it, then that will confirm it for me that they'll be champions, because the gap will be too big. There'll be simply too many games for City to make up. Arsenal have not won at the 𝗵𝗏𝗏 in over a decade. 2015 was the last time they won there. And I don't see him going out to play for victory. And even on the counter, I'm struggling at the moment if the ball got played over the top. Would 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐵𝐻 get there? Would I back 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 to score the winner? Beyond 𝐻𝐿 Havertz, I don't think there's a real elite level finisher in this team. That's another doubt that I have. And of course, you've got to look at City's form as well. They're just purring right now. They are really in terrific form. The 3 victories they've just had in a row have been sensational since the Real Madrid elimination. The win over Arsenal in the Carabao Cup was well-deserved. The thrashing of Liverpool in the FA Cup was a fantastic performance. And they just ripped Chelsea apart last week. Ryan Cherki, phenomenal. Jeremy Doku coming into his own. Erling Haaland scoring goals again. 𝗲𝗏𝗍, I mean, if they win the league this year, he's been the best player in the country, 𝗲𝗏𝗍. He should get player of the year because he was great for Bournemouth and is now tremendous for City. Mark Gueye alongside 𝗀𝗏𝗏 look a great pair. O'Reilly at fullback, I think he'll be a midfielder next season. And he's maybe the heir apparent to Bernardo Silva, who himself is still working his socks off in every single game. I mean, what do you say? They've just got everything right, going down the home straight again. And I think there's every chance they win this and every chance they steal the league. And if that happens, Mikel Arteta should resign on the spot, because his tactics and his ethos of playing football got them to this point, but didn't get them over the line for the 3rd season in 4. So really tough game to call this. I think City dominate the ball. I think City dominate the chances. I think City will score at least 1 in this match, which means Arsenal must score to try and get something from it. City unbeaten in their last 9 Premier League matches. The Gunners have lost 3 of their last 4 in all competitions. Awful game for Arsenal going down the home straight. Take the Man City win. The odds aren't amazing, I would suggest. So if you're looking for a winner, take Man City. Like the odds for the draw here, 3.6. Also 1-1, a very likely outcome here at 7. Wouldn't be stunned to see Arsenal open the scoring from some terrible corner. City level things up, and it's a siege mentality for the final 20 minutes. Erling Haaland anytime at 2.2. And then if City win it, I think they'll win it without conceding a goal. Wouldn't be surprised to see it finish either 1-1 or 4-0. City win to 0 comes in at double your money. So horrible this one. The only thing I don't really see here is an Arsenal win. That I'm struggling to find a pathway to that. But a draw is as good as a win for Arsenal with what is left. If City score 1, hold on to your butts. I think they might thrash them.
How things have changed from the reverse fixture. Remember, Arsenal were playing with the front foot. Man City took the lead. They just sat back, and at the end, Arsenal got the equalizer, but they were the better team. They were proposing much more, playing on the front foot, and it's not the case anymore. Let's see if Arsenal are able to survive and at least get a point. In terms of under-over, Tom, it pays exactly the same, 1.89. Over or under 2.5 goals, you see under, right?
Yes, I think it'll be under 2.5.
Okay, well, great game, Man City Arsenal. Let me know in the comments the result, the scoreline you think is going to happen at the Etihad. And for Monday, we have a Crystal Palace West Ham, massive game for West Ham after beating Wolves. They are +2 on Tottenham. They are playing, as we all know, after all the results, so they would know the result of Tottenham, and it's a winnable game against Crystal Palace, usually getting good results at Selhurst Park, and with Palace more focused in the conference, they have a great chance to go to the final after beating Fiorentina in the first leg. Tom, so anyway, Palace are still favorites for this game, 2.3.
Yeah, pretty close though. 2-3 and 2-7, I think, something like that. So, like, I think it's a toss-up this game, frankly, with the caveats you mentioned there about Crystal Palace. Unbeaten in 6, they've done what a lot of teams have done this season, Palace, and they had to stop the bleeding. Leeds have done it, West Ham have done it, lots of teams have done it, Bournemouth have done it. When you start being unable to win, then just stop the losing. And when that happens, you might start nicking some wins and turning things around. I think that they were lucky to beat Newcastle last week in the Premier League. We went for the draw. I thought it should have been a draw. I don't think that was a penalty that they got late on for 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄 to convert and get the victory over Newcastle. But look, winding the season down in terms of the league, Crystal Palace, I think there's every chance they put on a show against West Ham, and every chance the West Ham are able to. They've got more need, West Ham, to win this game, so they'll be hoping to take advantage of that. I think Stratton-Arsen and Mateta are two very good forwards. I think that Chris Richards has really stood up in the absence of Mark Gay, who's gone to Crystal Palace, and I think that they'll fight for every blade of grass. Daniel Munoz coming back into the team after his long-term injuries made a big difference in the last 7-8 weeks or so. So look, they're a good team, Crystal Palace, but they aren't amazing at home this campaign. The victory over Newcastle was just their 4th of the season at home. 7 home draws is what I'm looking at here. And in terms of West Ham, obviously if Tottenham had won the day before, they'll be back in the relegation zone. I think West Ham need to win 3 of 6 to be absolutely sure of safety. I think 2 of 6 would maybe get them there. I think 1 victory in the final 6 is not going to be enough. So they've got to win 2 of what is left. And this will be a big target. They've got this and then Everton and then Brentford. If they can get 7 points from those games, I think they'll stay in the Premier League next season. That'll be a huge ask. I don't see them doing that, but I think that will be enough to get them there. I don't see Spurs getting 39 from what is left. Currently sitting on 32, West Ham. Trouble for me on betting on West Ham is they haven't really beaten anyone good all season. They beat Burnley, they beat Wolves. I think maybe the victory over Sunderland's the best team they've been able to beat all season. And certainly away from home, they've not been particularly good. But look, there's a team there at the moment. Disasi and Mavropanos in good form. Hermansen keeping plenty of clean sheets. Pablo and Tati Castellanos, despite their technical deficiencies, are putting a lot of effort in. You've got Bowen and Somerville. There's every chance they can win this game. Frankly, though, screams draw, a double your money, 3.25. If you do go for a winner, I would just go for West Ham in that they have to pick up a win somewhere, so why not here at 3.2? I don't think the odds on Palace are particularly good. 1-1 at 6.5 screams 1-1 draw, which would be a decent result for West Ham, but then they've got to beat either Everton or Brentford coming up, which are tough tasks, but look, they put themselves in the relegation zone. They've got to win some games against teams that are good. Everyone's above them. So, they've got to find a way to beat someone above them. And then there's 2 players here that stand out to me. 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄 back amongst the goals last week. Any time for him, 2.38. And Jarrod Bowen having an impact in every single game. Score assist for him. Look at any time goal scorer, 3.5.
Last season, West Ham won there. Was in August. It was a 2-0 result at Selhurst Park.
Under 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄, and Max Tillman was great on the day. That was only a year and a bit ago. It's a funny old world.
𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗄, it looks like another life when he was managing West Ham, indeed. All right, this is it. Premier League, crucial weekend ahead of us. Next week, we have FA Cup semi-finals, by the way, also Premier League games. So, guys, remember that you can make money on Oddspedia. Use our tipster competitions, participate on them. We have our monthly one, halfway, and we have the Premier League one, of course. Money to be made there, and also check out Rivals, where you can create your own tipster competition. Tom Rennie, safe bet?
Tough this week, but I think Burnley are hideous. And so Nottm Forest to beat Burnley is the safest bet in the Premier League this weekend.
ACCA?
Nice little double this weekend. Nottm Forest to beat Burnley, as we mentioned. And though they let me down last week, I'm going again because Chelsea looks so poor. Manchester United to win at Chelsea. 4.48 for that double.
Thank you, Mr. Tom Rennie. See you next week. Bye-bye.